Oh no, I objected in terror. Before going to hell, one has to be judged. I have not been judged, and I will not go to hell. Listen, he said, what would you rather do, visit hell and save your boys, or stay outside and leave them in agony? For just a moment I was struck speechless. Of course I love my boys, and I wish to save them all, I replied, but isn't there some other way? Yes, there's another way, he went on, provided you can do all you can. I breathed more easily and instantly to myself, I don't mind saying that I rescued these beloved sons of mine from such torments. Come inside then, my friend went on, and see how our good, almighty God lovingly provides 1,000 means for guiding your boys to penance and saving them from everlasting death. Taking my hand, he led me into the cave. As I stepped in, I found myself suddenly transported into a magnificent hall whose curtained glass doors concealed more entrances. Above one of them I read this inscription, "The Sixth Commandment." Pointing to it, my God exclaimed, "Transgressions of this commandment cause the eternal ruin of many boys." Didn't they go to confession? They did. But they either omitted or insignificantly confessed the sins against the beautiful virtue of purity, saying, for instance, that they committed such sins 2 or 3 times when it was 4 or 5. Other boys may have fallen into that sin, but once in their childhood, and through shame never confessed it, or did so insufficiently. Others were not truly sorry or sincere in their resolve to avoid it in the future. There were even some who, rather than examine their conscience, spent their time trying to figure out how to deceive their confessor. Anyone dying in this frame of mind chooses to be among the damned, and so is now doomed for all eternity. Only those who die truly repentant shall be eternally happy. Now, do you want to see how our merciful God brought you here? He lifted the curtain, and I saw a group of oratory boys, all known to me, who were there because of this sin. Among them, some whose conduct seems to be good. Now you will surely take me down their names, so that I may warn them individually, I exclaimed. Then do what you suggest. I tell them, always preach against immodesty. A generic warning will suffice. Bear in mind that even if you did admonish them individually, they would promise, but not always in earnest. For a firm resolution, one needs God's grace, will always be denied to your boys if they pray. God manifestly his power, especially by being merciful and forgiving. On your part, pray and make sacrifices. As for the boys, let them listen to your admonitions and consult their conscience. It will tell them what to do. We spent the next half hour discussing the requisites of a good confession. Afterward, my guide several times exclaimed in a loud voice, "Have a chair! Have a chair!" "What do you mean?" I asked. "Change your life!" Perplexed, I bowed my head and made as if to withdraw, but he held me back. "You haven't seen everything yet," he explained. He turned and lifted another curtain bearing this inscription, "They who would become rich fall into temptation and to the snare of the devil." 1 Timothy 6:9. Note it would become rich, wish to become rich, seek riches, set their heart and affections toward riches. This does not apply to my boys, I countered, because they're as poor as I am. We're not rich. We don't want to be. We give no thought to it. As the curtain was lifted, however, I saw a group of boys, all known to me. They were in pain, like those I've seen before. Pointing to them, my guide remarked, "As you see, the inscription does apply to your boys." "But how?" I asked. "Well," he said, "some boys are so attached to material possessions that their love of God is lessened. Thus they sin against charity, piety, and meekness. Even the mere desire of riches can corrupt the heart, especially if a desire leads to injustice. Your boys are poor, but remember that greed and idleness are bad counselors. One of your boys committed substantial thefts in his native town. And though he could have made restitution, he didn't give it a single thought. There are others who tried to break into the pantry or the prefect's or economer's office. Those who rummage their companions' trunks for food, money, possessions. Those who steal stationery and books. After naming these boys and others as well, he continued. Some are here for having stolen clothes, linen, blankets, and coats from the oratory wardrobe in order to sell them in their homes. Others for willfully serious damage. Others yet for not having given back what they had borrowed, or for keeping sums of money they were supposed to hand over to their superior. Now that you know who these boys are, he concluded, admonish them. Tell them to curb all these vain, harmful desires and to obey God's law and to safeguard their reputation jealously, lest greed lead them to greater excesses and plunge them into more sorrow, death, and damnation.